everyone, and welcome back. All right, so this week I am super excited to say that we have Maggie here today. I love Maggie. All right, so like Maggie is like the copywriting absolute guru. Okay, so this girl just knows her shit when it comes to copy, and I can tell you that she has gone through some of my stuff and been like, you need to change this, and I'm like, I am not even arguing with you, lady. Like, absolutely, I will change all of my stuff because you know this better than anybody else in the entire world. So Maggie, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you for having me. This is awesome.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And everyone, Maggie has an amazing gift for you that you definitely want to stay until the end because if you do not get this magic word, you are not going to get her free gift. So stay into the end. Make sure you get your free gift from Maggie because if you have any kind of business, copy is a necessity. And she is going to be giving you an amazing free gift at the end. So stay into the end. All righty, Maggie, let's get into this. So, why copywriting?
So I have been writing since I could hold a pen, literally since I was little, and I used words to sort of get through, high school girl crap, and then funneled that into a college degree in advertising and journalism with a creative writing background. Um, and it's always been sort of my jam. Like words are my gig, and I love creating words. I've written children's books and worked for newspapers, and finally just kind of said, you know what, I'm going to turn this into a business and help people craft their messaging. And that's kind of how it started.
I absolutely love that because honestly, words are power, right? It's like the words that we use will dictate whether or not a person is going to buy from you, right?
Yes.
So when you're talking to someone that's like, hey, like, listen, I am struggling in my business. I am stuck here. I don't know what's going on. I think my messaging is wrong. Like, what are some of the first things that you had them look at?
Well, the first thing I always do is I do kind of like a old school deep dive. Like I just need to talk to you and hear your voice. What is your company about? And it's the same thing that I would tell kids when I do writing classes is like, just throw up on a piece of paper. Like, just tell me what it is that you do. Explain it to me as if I never met you before. And then let's take that and figure out who you're trying to talk to, because of course, that's the other key element, like what you do, but then who you're trying to talk to. Those are the two key pieces. And then we craft the message of what you're doing so that the people that are going to buy from you understand it. It resonates with them. They trust you. And then ultimately they buy from
I love that. I love that because honestly, the trust is the big one, right?
you. Hmm.
When people can't trust what they're reading, or they don't believe like what they're reading, because it could be something that can come up with AI, right? AI comes up with this stuff and like, Jesus, some of the stuff that I've seen that my clients will send to me, I'm just like, none of this is actually true. Why are you sending this to me? They're like, oh, well, I want this to be my website copy. I'm like, absolutely not. It's like none of it's true. Oh, well,
Right,
AI did it for me. Right, because AI doesn't know you. Like
right, right.
you can't get that type of result, right? So, for all the people out there that typically like lean on AI for a lot, as I know that that's, a huge audience of people are kind of leaning into AI. What do you have as far as advice for them when it comes to, what are the problems that they're going to run into by using AI instead of actually talking to a person?
So I think the biggest thing is edit. Like, don't just copy and paste from Chat GPT or Claude or whoever you happen to be, partnering with on AI. I think AI is a great tool. Don't get me wrong. And I don't think it's going anywhere. So, but I do think, and it's sort of a bit of a cliche word, but like be authentic. Cle, AI is not authentic. It's you put in and it gives you back, right? So
Right.
look at it, read it. Does it sound like you? Does it get to your message? At the end of the day, AI is not in your head. So really, really, really edit and proofread what is going on. And yeah, and AI does sort of learn from you, right? So there are instructions that you can put in. There are if you are going to use AI, then just play with it a little bit, learn about it. Um, you know, yeah. And I would say that if you're in an industry that is highly regulated, or like a financial industry, or a medical research industry, um, the coaching industry, make sure that it's correct because AI is not always correct either, right?
Agreed. Agreed. And honestly, like that's the biggest thing that I've been seeing that clients will send me stuff that they want to use for their marketing and for their copy and things. And I'm like, we can't use this. Like, we don't know if these facts or figures are correct. We need to verify them. There's no source here. There's nothing that we can actually say, this is where this was cited from. I'm like, unless we can get those details, we can't put this information out there. I'm like, otherwise, you're putting out false information.
Right,
Um, and AI, it literally knows what it's able to pull from the internet, right? It's not going to
right,
create these theories. It doesn't have a brain to think in the way that a human being does, right? So when you're
correct,
using AI, it's like you're taking whatever it's finding on the internet, which I mean, of course, because everything on the internet's correct, right? Like there's so much stuff on the internet that's not correct, but it's going
right,
to pull from whatever it finds on the internet. And unless you can actually cite where that information came from, you have no idea if any of that stuff is accurate. Um,
right,
so working with a person, like working with like an actual human being, like I love if even if you're just doing like a starter where like you're doing AI just to get the idea kind of fleshed out, but then you're working with a person to be able to kind of communicate it, walk through the process, because that client journey is something that you have to figure out as helping somebody write their copy. It's a lot about that client journey. It's not just about, oh, here's the information you want on your website. It's like, no, you have to create a whole journey for that client to walk through. Right.
right.
So if you're working with someone on their client journey, what are some of the steps that they would need to take to prepare themselves to work on their client journey with you?
Well, I think it's a thought process, right? So it depends. So the starting goal, of course, and I think any marketer would probably tell you this is like, what is your end goal? Like, what are you trying to accomplish
Right.
by this particular marketing campaign? If you're doing a blog post,
Mhm.
um, what is it that you're trying to accomplish? You're trying to accomplish the fact, usually, that you are an expert in whatever field you happen to be in.
Right.
And so your blog post should represent that. So how
Right.
is it, what do you do that answers the question that people are searching for? So in my case, for example, people ask, why should I hire a copywriter? So I'm going to write a blog post, why you should hire a copywriter, and why sometimes it's okay not to hire a copywriter. It's not always
Mhm.
the case, depending on where you are in your business and what your budget is and what you're trying to say, right?
Mhm.
Um, from that perspective, then we can begin to answer that question, and then we can dive deeper into what that answer is. And again, I'm not a lawyer, doctor, coach, insurance agent, so I'm not the expert. So I'm going to pull that out of you. I use a questionnaire that I ask, and I also have a conversation with people, just like this.
Yeah, which is so important because even if you are using AI and even if you have trained your AI to learn about you, it's still going to be pulling information off of what's available on the internet. It's not going to use strategic thinking because it can't. And
Right,
working with someone like a copywriter, strategic thinking is like the majority of the work.
right.
Outside of like the actual writing itself, it's like that strategic thinking around the writing. That's the majority of that work, and you're not going to be able to find that through an AI tool. Am I right?
Correct. Absolutely correct. And that's why, like, you could say to AI, give me five top concerns that a startup business would have that a coach might be able to help. And it gives you five things.
Yeah.
You're the one as the business coach that's going to be able to answer those concerns and tell them how they can do it,
Correct.
right? So
Exactly.
that's a great way to use AI as a tool, but
Yeah.
you have to tap into your own knowledge because you are the expert,
Exactly, exactly. And
right?
that's where you got to be like authentically yourself because especially in the coaching space, it's flooded. There's not really any regulation inside of coaching, and so it's such a flooded market. If you're just trying to do what everybody else is doing and trying to just keep up with that routine, you're going to struggle and you're probably not going to do really well because of the fact that you're just kind of following up the same stream that everybody else is. Like you have to do things differently. You have to stand out. You have to be different. You have to be authentically who you are. And you can't do that by taking the same copy that somebody else is using, right? It's got to be
Right.
yours. It's got to be yours. It's so important to just be authentic.
Well, and that's the other thing you just mentioned, like you're going to sound like everybody else. No matter, that doesn't matter what industry you're in. If you use AI, if you're a photographer and you use AI to generate your copy for you, every other photographer is using it or that
Yep,
uses AI, you're all going to sound the same. So what makes you different?
exactly.
What makes you stand out, right?
Exactly. No, I couldn't agree with you more. Like honestly, like one of the things that I used to hate when people would say, like, oh yeah, I got my business cards through Vistaprint because they have all these templates. And I'd be like, oh, like you have to brand yourself, right? And so like there's such an understanding now of why it's so important to have this like unique brands where everyone's like they have their brand, they have their visual that represents them and makes them stand out and makes them be different, right? But their words, if they're the same as everybody else, the brand doesn't matter anymore because it's just a duplication of what everybody else has. So it's
Right.
like getting
Right.
into that authenticity that's going to carry through with everything with your brand. It's got to be your copy. It's got to be your content. Like everything has to be authentically yours. Otherwise, there's a disconnect there, and that's where people lose trust. Am I right?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I think I don't think it helps that graphics and video are like pushed so hard on us,
Yeah,
from the social platforms that you're on, your website has to have like shiny stuff. And all that's true, but if your copy doesn't match what you're trying to say, I'm sure many of your listeners and yourself included have gone to a website and been like, "Oh, this is pretty, but I have no idea what you do."
right.
Right? So, if you're a brick and mortar store owner
Mhm.
and you're selling sneakers and everything about you is branded sneakers and I walk in the door and there's not a shoe to be found, I'm confused, right?
Of
So it's
course.
it's kind of that it's kind of that sense, right? So what's on the racks when you walk in the store, that's the copy.
Mhm. Agreed. I love that. I love that analogy and that breakdown because honestly, it paints the picture for you of, how important it is to have copy that is legitimate and authentic to who you are and what you offer. So I love that. I love that.
Thank you.
So I've got one last question for you, and I've got to ask this one because like this, it's such a field where a lot of people have left because they thought AI was going to take over and everything, so just kind of like they vacated that space, and you dug in deeper, which I absolutely love for you. So, what is one thing that you absolutely love about copywriting?
I love the fact that I get to learn so many different industries.
Mm.
Not necessarily at like a deep level, like I play a lawyer on TV. That's not the case, right?
I love
Um,
that.
um, I love the concept of seeing somebody go, oh, yes, that's what I meant to say, but I just couldn't say it very well.
Mm.
Um, and taking industries that maybe don't seem as flashy or as exciting, like, no offense, coaching, the legal industry,
Yeah,
insurance, and m- making the copy read. So it's not going to be ever going to be like super flashy, but it's going to resonate and it's going to convert people that are just passing by to actually stop and read it.
yeah.
And I love that. I love seeing the clients' faces when they're like, oh, wow, yeah, that actually makes sense. That's what I was trying to say, but I wasn't saying it very well.
Exactly. I mean, and that's a hard thing to do is to take a person's words and beliefs and thoughts and be able to put that into something that's cohesive and makes sense. It's not easy to do that. I mean, I've read some books sometimes and I'm just like, I'm having the hardest time reading this book because I don't know what this person is trying to say. And then I've read books and I'm just like, I feel like I'm having a conversation with them.
Yes.
And it's just night and day difference. And it's the same thing in copy. I mean, if you want to make sure that your copy is coming across like they're having a conversation with you so that they know by the time they get on that call with you, they feel like they already know you. They're
Yes.
already comfortable with you. They already understand the way that you talk. They already understand like who you are. Because by the time you get on that call, like they should be warmed up enough that they feel comfy to be able to share the things that they're really struggling with, that they really want the help with, and the reason why they're coming to you for that.
Yes. Exactly. Exactly. And I will add, like, copy doesn't have to be long, right?
Mhm.
It's not about how much can you say. And in fact, that's one of the things that I often do with the clients that I work with is they're saying too much. They've amassed this wealth of knowledge through school and experience, and they feel like they have to convey everything to everybody. And that's not always the case, right? Usually is not the case. Um, so yeah, just because I'm a copywriter doesn't mean I write monologues all the time. It's keeping it short, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think that's another big key too, is that people think that like copywriters are just getting paid per word, so they have to write a lot of stuff, and that's not actually accurate. But
No,
it's important to know that, people do have a shorter attention span now. So it is important to just get as much of the points across as you can in a short period of time so that people can say, oh, this is the move I want to make, or no, this is not the person I want to work with, so that they have that understanding quickly. Because it's
yes,
really important that they do that because otherwise there's a lot of time wasted. And I mean, we all know there's no time to waste time in business, like at all.
right,
Right?
right, absolutely. Especially as
I
a,
love it.
entrepreneur type setting.
Exactly. As an entrepreneur, like we already are trying to create more hours in the day, and the universe is cracking the fuck up at us, being like, yeah, good luck with that. Let me know how that works out for you, right? Like, so wonderful. So, okay, so Maggie has an amazing free gift. So Maggie, why don't you tell us about that free gift?
Right. So I am offering 1 free hour, which would equate to a blog post, a newsletter, an article, if you want to, highlight your company, of my copywriting services. Um, so yeah, and that equates to about $125 value. Um,
Amazing.
and we would set up a quick call, talk about, what it is that you're looking for, and I will write and I will send it to you and you can use it however you want.
That is amazing. So if you want this free gift from Maggie, drop the word copywriting below. Don't worry, we're not going to judge you on spelling. Okay. Maybe I won't. Maybe Maggie might, but I won't. Okay. But drop the word copywriting below, and Maggie and her team will reach out to you and set up that time that they can jump on a call and she can jump on a call with you and get that taken care of. Because I mean, that is a huge gift. Because I can tell you, like, for anybody who has never had worked with a professional copywriter, it is going to be night and day difference for you to see just the difference that you're going to see and just the way that people communicate with you by understanding what it is that you're trying to say. So just remember that word is copywriting. Drop it in the comments below, and Maggie and her team will reach out to you and get that time set up for you. So thank you again, Maggie. This is amazing. This is an amazing gift. Thank you so much for this.
Oh, of course, you're welcome. I look forward to weaving words for some of your listeners.
Amazing. I love it. All right, everybody. So we'll see y'all soon, and we'll be back with another referral partner shortly. All right. Bye for now, everyone.